I want to talk to everyone in here about a common problem that we have throughout the United States. It's always discussed. It's always brought up in some way, shape, or form. This is racism. Racism, is prevalent, especially in the South, and I found it upon myself to be an issue that I think need to be pointed out, and maybe I can persuade you a little bit to understand the differences between ourselves. And I think ignorance is the main cause of the differences between ourselves, and that the fear of what we don't know usually induces hatred or anger or rage for some reason, and it's really not justified. It doesn't make any sense, and I'll explain to you why. I mean, if you look at like the tension and the racial tension that we have. I mean, I brought this chart, which is 2017, and you look at race. It's 47% of crimes in the United States are racially motivated, and racially motivated crimes, to me, all stem from the ignorance of not knowing each other's culture. So hopefully I can help you understand this. We have different arrays of colors in our skin, from white to dark brown to dark black. And you ever stop to think about why we have these different colors and what makes us the colors that we are? Well, I didn't know these things until I studied biology and anatomy and physiology, and we learned about the skin and integumentary skin, integumentary system. You have we have the same amount of, we do have the same amount of layers throughout our skin, whether you're white, you're black, you're Chinese, Asian, whatever, it doesn't matter. The main difference in the cell structure is this thing called the melanocytes. And here I printed out this diagram that shows you the different layers of our skin. The main thing I wanted to point out is what I highlighted right here. See that cell right there? It lays on the basal layer of our skin. Okay? And that cell is the melanocyte. And the melanocyte, it produces melanum, which is the main reason why our pigmentation changes color. Now, we all have, believe it or not, and this is something that maybe will help you eradicate some of the racism, we all have the same amount of melanum in our skin, the melanocytes. We have the same amount, and the difference is whether it's prevalent or non-prevalent, depending on the region that we're born and raised in, and our ancestors as well. If you are lighter skin, say if you live somewhere in the north regions of Nova Scotia, your skin has a tendency to be a lighter pigmentation. The reason why is because that melanocyte is a key essential to absorbing nutrients from the sun that synthesizes our vitamin K and D in our bone and for calcium absorption. And the lighter that you are, you actually become, you need to absorb more because there's less sunlight available. And the closer you are to the equator, you actually are darker skin because you want to kind of slow that process down. And you're less susceptible to burns and so forth. So like if you take some of this map right here, the vulnerabilities of skin color, you notice here is closer to the equator. It's a lot darker in this area. It's a lot darker, and you see how the colors start to fade outward, indicating this color of the skin, even going up to North Pole, South Pole regions. And that's because this line of equator is closer to the sun, physically closer to the sun. So over the years, our ancestors and our bodies have adjusted to the physical location of the equator to absorb the vitamin K and D in our skin through the melanocyte cells produced in our body. And like I said, every one of us has the same amount of melanocytes, whether you're black, brown, Chinese, Asian, Filipino, Australian. The difference is which ones are more, profound depending on the region that you're in. And of course, it takes time. It doesn't happen like overnight. It happens over a long period of time. And that's why South Africans are darker, and you go to the Himalayans and it's a little lighter skin, because there's less sun coverage, and the less sun causes you to have a lighter skin, because the whites absorb, like I said, and the darkers refract. They actually reject away from the sun. And if you ever notice, black people are less susceptible to burns, but they still burn just like white people do. And white people burn more predominantly because our skin is more susceptible to burning because we have white pigmentation. Old common story was if you lay on a white roof, would you get more tan than if you laid on a black roof? Well, the truth is that if you laid on a white roof, you're going to be darker than the white roof, so you're going to absorb more of the sun than around it, and that's just the way the sun refracts, because white is an absence of color, and black is an absorption of all colors. So learning about the pigmentation of the skin, I think, will help educate and prevent a lot of racism. And that's what my primary goal here is, to talk to you about it and tell you the differences of the layer of the skins, show you the melanocytes, help you understand how people that are more vulnerably indigenous to the equator and how their skins are darker and we're lighter. And knowing these just simple biological facts that will help you, I guess, to ease the tension and racism, and understand that it's not like, we have choices in the colors of our skins when we're born. It all goes back to heredity, and it goes back to the biological factors that make us who we are. And I think being educated and having will take care of the lack of understanding and reducing the fears that we have. So I just want to end this by saying, so next time you look at someone that's a different color, and for some reason you're biased toward them or bigot toward them, realize that they're no different. No one's any different from anyone else as far as the makeup of our skin, and it's just a lack of ignorance. And now that you have that knowledge, you can stop that and educate other people on how you should be helping people, and in this stupidity that lives in the United States, where we judge people on other colors of their skin. So I hope that helped. Have a good day.